Hello, hello. I think we're on live. I'm hoping we are. So I want to say thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Rhythms of the Goddess. I am Lisa Ware, and today we are on the darkest night, the darkest day of the year, winter solstice. So I want to speak to you a little bit about what we can do to help our practices and to really reflect and go with this energy. It seems natural to try to fight it because in our culture, we have some kind of, I don't know, we tend to look down on going within and not being active and vital and doing and producing. And especially since the winter solstice is now kind of shrouded and buried within this chaotic Christmas and holiday season and all the hustle and bustle, that it seems really difficult to actually take this time for ourselves and just cocoon, hibernate. Um, it's a time that's very natural. Even though we're not bears, we do have that natural circadian rhythm to hibernate and to snuggle down in our covers and to read and to, chill on the couch with a glass of wine and your dog, watch Netflix, just have downtime. And today we're going to be talking about intentional downtime and some practices that you can do to really enhance that. So I want to share with you some of the practices that I've been using for many, many years, many, many moons. And one of the main practices is crystal healing. If you haven't been familiar with crystal healing, that is simply using the power of crystals and the stone people to really enhance your energy fields. And the crystals naturally raise your energy. So if you are not very familiar with this practice, I have my book here. It's Yoga for Love, Tools for Mind, Body, Spirit. You can get it on any online bookseller. And on page 95, we have a lot of information in 94 and 93, a lot of information about balancing with the chakras and balancing with crystal healing and things that you can do to practice that crystal healing. So if you haven't really started working with crystals, I would recommend just going to a store that carries crystals, any kind of apothecary or a crystal shop near you, and just walking around and seeing what resonates with you and looking for crystals that really just kind of call out to you. You're going to notice them and they're going to notice you and they're going to say, "Hey, buy me. I'm here." And you won't really know what to do with them until you start practicing with them. So your seated meditation practice is one of the most important practices you can have in your daily practice. And just adding your crystals into that practice time is a really wonderful way to just connect with the higher frequencies. So I would recommend just starting there. If you have any mala beads, starting with a mala bead practice, and malas are in 108, which is a sacred number. And so chanting with your mala beads is something that you can do. You can have lots of different chants that you could just Google on YouTube. I have a very one of my favorite chants, which is the seed sounds of the chakras, and moving the energy up the chakra system and then down, grounding into the earth, is one of the practices that I love to share. And I have a SoundCloud account, Lisa Ware Yoga for Love. The practice that I'm specifically talking to you about is the BIJ mantra for the chakras. It's chant for the chakras is what it's called if you look it up on my channel. And I also have a YouTube video on that too. So you can look that up. It's the chakra workshop. And so it's just right here on my channel. So those are some tools that you can use. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about the energy of this day. And this is a book from a high priestess called Spiral Dance. Her name's Starhawk. And this is really talking about the winter solstice. And interestingly enough, the winter solstice is the beginning of the calendar season. This is the first day where the light returns. This is the darkest night. A lot of us call it the darkest night of the soul because it's the time for us to really sit with our shadow self and to sit with the fear, sit with the dark side, and try not to fight that. We tend to fight the darkness. We tend to run from the shadow. If you think about a little baby who first sees their shadow and jumps, what the heck is that, And we still have that same reaction. We still jump at our shadow and we try to run from it. But the shadow will never go away. We have to face our shadow. And this is a time where we can sit with our shadow self and let any fears that are still within us rise up without shoving it down, pushing it down, drinking it, eating it down, running it out, you know, hot yogaing it out, you know, quit burning it out. It will not go away unless you address it. And you have to sit with that quiet time and sit with it. And so what is it that really annoys you about other people? What is that quality that just gets you every time, that just makes you crazy? Or who's that person that just really grates at your nerves? Now, think about that. Hold up a mirror. That's reflecting right back at you. Those qualities are the ones that you must address within yourself. That is why it gets on your nerves so bad, because they are that mirror. They're that mirror for you to reflect back at yourself and learn those qualities about yourself and sit with them. So calling in and sitting with that fear and letting it rise up, and then calling in our power. So in this book, it has some interesting practices that talking about how to light the candles and when to have the candles out and when to light them and things like that. So it's really a detailed practice about the wheel of the year, beginning with the Yule, the winter solstice. So it's the 20th, the 21st, and 22nd and 23rd. So this is that Yule time. And you've heard the term about burning the Yule log. So the Yule log is traditionally not lighted until the return of the light. So in the traditional practices, we sit with that fear. We sit in that dark. We let that cocoon come in and hibernate into that space where we sit with that mirror of reflection. Some of you may have maybe friends with me or following my Facebook page, Lisa Ware Yoga for Love, or you might actually be in our Facebook group, which is the Yoga for Love Global Goddess Tribe private group, where we just recently did a 21-day practice on mirror work. You can find that on my SoundCloud as well. And if you want to do the homework, it is within our Global Goddess Tribe on Facebook, and you can ask to join and get that homework in the units tab in our Facebook group. It's a very deep practice. Seems very simple to do 21 days of something that might be just an affirmation a day. But when you take these practices and reflect them in your mirror work back at yourself and sit with that and meditate on it, do your affirmations, do some journaling work, it is amazing how transformative these practices are. So I would highly encourage you to start doing those meditations on my SoundCloud. Get the book by Louise L. Hay, Mirror Work, and start that work, and get the homework on my Facebook group at the Yoga for Love Global Goddess Tribe. You can request to join, and we have a couple questions for you, and then we will allow you to be a part of that beautiful like-minded sisterhood. And we are there to hold space for you as you do this work, because this work is not easy. This work is not simple. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. But you are here, you're here with me right now because you are doing the work. So I want to commend you, Goddess. I want to commend you, sister, for sitting here and being present with yourself and doing the work. And simply just listening to what that looks like is the beginning. Then implementing that practice is what I'm asking you to do tonight. So even if you're coming across this at any given time and it's not actually the winter solstice in your calendar, you have found this video for a reason, because it is time for you to reflect about the things that are within your shadow self that are rising up. So we call in the power using our quartz crystals. Quartz are very, very powerful amplifiers. And if you have any quartz crystals, even tiny little bits of them or ginormous ones, I purposely didn't bring all my crystals out because I have so many, but I have tons of pictures of my altars on my Instagram under the Reiki and shamanic practitioner highlights on my Facebook page. And you can see, you can lay out crystal grids, which are really powerful. You can Google that. You can go down a whole entire rabbit hole, which we're not going down right now. But just for the sake of this purpose of this practice, get a quartz crystal or call in the intention of the highest frequency of the quartz crystal, which is in alignment directly with the angel of power, Archangel Michael. Excuse me, Archangel Michael wants to come in. He's talking to us right now, saying he's about the power. But actually, I'm actually speaking to the quartz crystal that is Archangel Metatron. So it's funny how things come in when we start raising our frequency up. And Archangel Metatron is all about transmuting fear into love, fear into power. And so how can we do that? You are not in this alone. You are in this life to be completely interconnected with all of your guides, your angels, your archangels, your master teachers, your power animals, your spirit animals, your ancestors that have crossed over, that are holding space for you to find who you really are and to find your intention of why you are here and to step into that power. So right now, sister, call it in. Call in that power. Sit with your archangel a moment and just call your archangels in. We're calling in Archangel Michael. We're calling in Archangel Gabriel, Uriel, Ariel, and of course, Metatron. And all of these archangels are our power angels, and just feel that love and vibration coming in as they drop into your presence. You are lifting your frequency up high enough so that they can commune with you. And in this safe and sacred space is where you are able to safely sit with your shadow. Think about those qualities of all of the things that we had mentioned before that annoy you about other people, that grate on your nerves when other people do it, that do not resonate with your frequency. And that is because that is something within you. That is something that you need to address and reflect back on. So the Native Americans have a saying that when you're pointing your finger at somebody, you have 3 fingers pointing back at you. So those 3 fingers mean that you need to reflect back on what that means. And it only comes from within and doing the quiet work, doing the time where you can be counted on by spirit to shut other things out and commit, even if that is just 30 seconds. And as I had mentioned to you before, if you've been new to this channel, this is something, might be new information, but if you've been following me for a while, it is something I remind you of frequently. And you can simply do that by just lighting your candle and blowing it out at the same time every single day, setting that intention to be disciplined in your practice of meditation and sitting. And so with that being said today, sisters and brothers that are watching, I call this space for you to be held, and I am holding the space for you as well in collective consciousness as we sit together in this darkest hour, sitting without the light and letting the darkness envelop us, but being completely protected by all of our archangels, and allowing this space of fear to bubble up. And then we let it release out through the crown of the head. We let it release down into the earth, but stop stifling it and stuffing it down and covering it up and putting sweaters on and fat layers on and extra food and drinking to cover it up, or whatever escape you have. You could be addicted to so many different things that keep you from addressing what's really in your heart. And that is what's important to sit with right now. And there's always a time and a place for plenty of food and plenty of drink and celebratory times. But right now it's time to go within, be quiet, clear yourself of anything that's influencing your brain, influencing your body, and just sit with the power of your angels and your archangels. And that power is very real, friends. It is very real. Love is what is real, and love cannot exist with fear. So if there is fear, there is the absence of love. And so calling in that love, letting that fear sit and let it percolate. Feel it. And there's a very famous book from at least 2 decades ago called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And that is where you gain your power, is by using that fear to propel you forward and take action. And that is what this whole entire blog series, video blog series is about, is vision and action. So we use the tools of yoga, energy, and magic. And today we are talking about magic because, folks, magic is very real. It is not woo-woo. It is not fake. It is not artificial. It is not made up from a child and then forgotten. Unfortunately, our society, again, looks down on these practices because they are not productive. When you sit in a quiet room, in a quiet time and reflect, then society in the Western world sees that as non-productive time. But that is actually where I find the most power, the most production, and the most energy. A little fun fact is that sitting in seated meditation for just 10 minutes amplifies it as if you took a nap for at least 30 to 40 minutes. So even sometimes 50 minutes, it's almost like getting 50 minutes of sleep for meditating just 5 minutes. So you get that recharge and that energy back into your life by just doing that simple practice. And it can just simply start by lighting your candle and blowing it out and doing that consistently for 21 days or a period of time, 40 days or whatever that looks like for you. So I want to encourage you to reflect back in our Facebook group if you're in that group, or message me on Instagram and let me know how your practice is going. It's Yoga for Love Lisa, yoga with the number 4 Love Lisa on Instagram, or you can look up the Facebook page with the same name. Or if you're in our Global Goddess Tribe, message and comment about how your practices are doing over this winter solstice. When the light begins to return, then the darkest period is at sunset on the 21st, and that's going to be the longest, darkest night. And then from there, the light begins to return as the dawn breaks. So that's when traditionally the Yule is lit and the celebration returns. And then there's the moment of the days until Epiphany, which is generally January 6th. So this is the Celtic calendar. This is the pagan calendar. The traditional modern day Christian calendar does not align with it because it was changed conveniently to be altered for the patriarchal purpose. But so if you want to follow the traditional cyclical times, then look up the Celtic calendar. And that is when those times are traditionally embodied and represented. And a lot of like Anglican churches and things still celebrate these rhythms. And so it's beautiful to sit in these practices that have been done for thousands and thousands of years and to sit with this energy. The Great Pyramids are aligned with the solstice and with Orion's belt. There is so much power and energy in these practices. Look up on the History Channel, the Orion's belt and the ancient aliens, and you'll see so many of the things that we're talking about here have been practiced for thousands of years. And a lot of this information has been hidden from Western world technology and even on the internet. So you have to kind of dig around for some of this information, but it's there. It's very, very real. This is what's real. Love is what is real. So tapping into that place of pure golden white light love and transmuting those fears, transmuting those irritations, transmuting all of that negative energy into that place of power by being assisted with your archangels. So I encourage you to do this practice today, however that looks for you. Set up a beautiful altar with your crystals, with your mala beads, with anything that's special to you, and place that in a place where you have your candle. And incense is always nice. Sacred music is always nice to get you into that frequency where you can really tap in. So I encourage you to do these practices now as you hear these. Set a time in your schedule to make sure that you do not cancel on yourself. And we will see you on the next Rhythm of the Goddess next week. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me.